Welcome back. Now joining the show is the incomparable Jody Jackson to talk Cardinals presented by Shamrock Farms Rockin' Protein. Jody, always good to see you.
Good to see you, Eliav. Big week of football with the NFL here, so it is a crazy time of year and we love it.
Yes, yes, we do. The Cardinals got a win. Now, Kyler certainly did take care of the ball, though. 21 to 29, two passing TDs, no interceptions. What did you make of his performance in general and the sustainability of it?
I thought he performed well. I thought early that play to Trey McBride where he kind of looked like he was going to run and he ended up finding Trey, and Trey's just a beast. He made the catch, got his usual yards after the catch, and then kind of flexed for the crowd. So that connection was there. The bomb to Marvin Harrison Jr. was really good to see. I think we all were excited to see that, thinking, okay, to do that in week one, to connect like that is something that is a great sign for what we're going to see over the next 16 games. So, yeah, I really was pleased with the play from Kyler for the most part. I think that threat of using his legs was on display again, and I mean, there's getting deep into it. I'm sure there's a couple decision making things that, again, with Kyler, I feel like that's something that he's got to get over that stigma because sometimes we've seen it end of game and it didn't come into play, even though it was a 7 point game. Overall, I thought it was a very solid game for Kyler Murray, working in those key targets. I think the bigger key is to just how are they going to incorporate some of these other wide receivers as the year goes on. But week one, you had the usual suspects show up for Kyler, and I think that was really good to see.
Well, you just mentioned it, a great tease into the question. And you also talked about the run game, something that helps that are more weapons offensively as far as receivers. So we know Marvin Harrison Jr. is stronger. He moved so well once again. Trey McBride, a top three tight end in this league. But who can you see stepping up as that wide receiver too?
Yeah, I continue to want to see, more from Michael Wilson and, incorporating him into the game. We know who the names are, right, Eliab? I mean, it's Zay Jones, it's Greg Dortch, and I think, Dortch is a unique player that usually comes up with a big play here or there in the passing game when he is, we've seen Kyler have a connection with him. So to me, it's just about, what is the ceiling for, Michael Wilson? He's been in the league a couple of years now. Can he take that pressure off those other guys? But the one thing about particularly McBride is that when we see that connection, you don't even feel the need to take pressure off of that because it works and it's timeless and it usually works at any point in the game where Kyler can feed him the ball. So I'm okay with that. But I just think for Marv to be successful and for the entire offense to be more successful than we saw last year, seeing those other guys get worked in, I think is going to be a key. And the backs as well, James Conner, Trey Benson. I think we saw a good game out of Trey Benson yesterday at time. We were going to learn that he's going to be a bigger part of this. So I think that's, again, early signs are all good for that, but I want to see more of those other guys too.
And the defense held New Orleans to 13 points, including just three in the second half. And I know the Saints aren't some crazy team, but is this the kind of performance fans should expect in the home opener potentially against Carolina? Also, not the craziest team.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of, we look at how much the Cardinals beefed up that D line and the pass rush. And, you facing, and then we all are familiar with Rattler, right? We're all, I found myself, a little bit rooting for Spencer at times individually because he worked out with my son when my son was really little and, or not really little, but, when he was younger than Spencer. And so, Spencer's a mobile quarterback though. So, yeah, I think they did some good things, but I think that, that's also something where you come out of the gate. And I think there is a little bit of a warm up because all those guys did not play in the preseason. So, Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, the group, it was good to see that group pretty healthy, more healthy than past years. Past years, when guys have been signed and it's like, okay, these guys are going down. Walter Nolan is one that we're not going to see for a little bit, and that's disappointing. But I think it'll get better and better. But yeah, the defense, I think the biggest surprise for me was Will Johnson. I thought he had a great game, Eliav, and he is really uh, second round gem for these Cardinals. You love to see it. I think he's going to be a game changer.
Now, the Pinnacle Pioneer, you mentioned it a little bit. The Pinnacle Pioneer, Spencer Rattler, playing for the Saints. I gotta ask how you think he did against his hometown team.
I think he did all right. You know, I know he got a little taste of it last year. I think he made some plays, and then there was some back. You know, that was the thing. The Cardinals on the back end. Olave came back from missing a lot of time with concussion issues, and they were getting physical with him. And Will Johnson's getting physical with him, and there were some passes there to be caught that were not completed. So I think Spencer, you know, look, we all know how long it takes sometimes the guys in this league to become NFL caliber quarterbacks. So I think he's on a good path. I mean, I think his mobility, his ability to you know, make plays on the run. He's just getting started. So I think he did all right. You know, that it had to be you know, it's never easy going up in your first game against a team that is on the rise in the Cardinals, a team that did beef up on the defensive side. But I think he's got a bright future. It's cool to see it. I think could you have predicted this many years ago? You know, maybe. But it takes. We all know that road is so long, and that journey is one that guys have to overcome a lot of hurdles. So it was cool to see him. You know, even though again we saw him last year in the NFL, so the fact that he was the starter out of the gate.
Appreciate your expertise as always, Jody.
Thanks, Eliav. Good to be with you.
Coming up next, we got Coop's Chronicles.